fabulous Las Vegas, home of the 2024 Mountain West Conference Media Days. It's very exciting. I'm joined, as always, by our fabulous Executive Director, Kim Adair. Kim, you just got here this morning. I've been here for a while. This is always such a fun time.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so fun to be here and see all of our old friends that we haven't seen in a while. We got a lot of new coaches here this year, which has been really exciting to see and meet. Some of them are old friends from other games, other conferences that we've known for a while. And it's great to see everybody and get to know everybody that we haven't met yet.
Man, I'll tell you, it's just been so exciting for everyone around this. There's 7 new head coaches in the Mountain West Conference. So a lot of new faces and a lot of excitement. You've gotten to meet some of the new faces this morning. How's it going?
Oh, it's great. It's great. So just spent a little time, and we'll talk with him later, with Coach Lewis, now at San Diego State. We knew him when he was over in the MAC at Kent State. So we're excited to see that friendly face over here with San Diego State. I think he's going to do incredible things with that program. Ran into the brand new executive director of the college football playoffs in Rich Clark, who's here. He's such a great guy. The general, I know. He was really excited about our Snoop announcement. He loves what we're doing. So it was really fun to hear that the CFP is really, really excited about the changes, the things that we're doing, the innovations that we're making, and that other people outside of our little community is hearing about it and talking about us, especially at that level.
Yeah, I mean, and Kim, you're on the forefront of a lot of these meetings, and you sit with all the other executive directors in the whole world. How important it is for you to be able to just spend some face time with these schools and get to know them ahead of one of these people will be with us in December. So how important are these days in July?
Oh, they're so important because, I make some phone calls, starting at the middle of the season, just talking to coaches, talking to athletic directors, getting a sense of where the season's going and where we might be looking as far as our picks for the Arizona Bowl. And it's always fun when I make the call to the coach and invite them to the game, but it's even better when I have a relationship with them. We can get excited about it together. They know that they can call me anytime ahead of the game or ahead of the selection process and have a chat. It's really important for us to be a part of that and develop those relationships.
Yeah, I was at a dinner last night, and it was the first time the head coaches were seeing each other. And so it was really fun. I mean, it's like high school buddies. They all come together. They talk about fishing or whatever vacation they took and their families. They're all family people, so they catch up on what's going on in life. But it pretty quickly changes to football. And they're like, okay, you got 2 weeks. When are you guys starting? What are you doing? All your guys healthy? And it was just one of the most fun meetings of the football minds to watch, kind of as if a fly on the wall. So, I mean, they are fired up because, man, it's so hard to believe it's mid-July. It's football time already.
It sure is. What's exciting is that a lot of these coaches have worked together in the past or been in the same conferences in the past or have worked with each other as assistants, and they just have a history together. So it's really fun to see them catch up. It's, as you know, Eric, college football is such a small world. It really is. People think that it's this mega thing. It's not. It's a lot of the same people. I'm seeing a lot of the. So like this guy, you want to say hi?
Speaking of the same people.
I know, my friend Jeff from the New Mexico Bowl.
Jeff from the New Mexico Bowl is taking one of our stickers. Jeff, we're doing our podcast. You want to say hi?
Come on over. Join me on the mic right here.
On your mic and everything?
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you are.
There we are.
Yeah, there you are. What's up? Welcome to Squib Kicks.
How's your media days going so far?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's been brilliant. It's good to see you.
Yeah. Did you and Eric coordinate your jackets before you came here? Because you look sort of similar.
They're similar colors. Yesterday we did not.
Yeah.
And I tried to wear his the other day. Traded him when I had the lavender one on. It was lilac. Lilac was
that what we were going with? Lilac?
But he said he's bigger than me, and he's probably right. We're different size.
The arms. I got those long arms.
He's a huge individual. How's your media days?
Great. I just got here this morning.
No, I
flew
know.
in.
I didn't know if you told your audience that yet.
No, they knew I got here this morning. They don't know that I left Tucson.
I'm leaving here in about 3 hours.
Okay.
So, because it'll be over.
Yes.
All right. It's good for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations on everything.
Thanks. We're really excited about it.
Everybody's
were you surprised when you heard it?
No. I mean,
no.
Well, when the first time I heard it, not when you announced it. I mean, I didn't like. It's like anything else. I mean, were you surprised that? Right.
Mm-hmm.
But It's cool, and everybody's looking for the cooler, the gin and juice. Like
It's
looking
coming.
under your table.
It's coming.
Right when I
We've
leave?
got gin and juice being delivered here at
We'll
any
have
moment.
some just for you.
I'm good, man. I'm not old enough.
We've got these nice these
It's
Mountain
okay.
West distributed Stanley cups that we can pour it into.
I gotta go. I got a 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
10
thanks for
o'clock.
joining us,
All right,
Jeff.
see you guys.
See you later.
So that's what this is all about, really. I mean, Jim, you didn't know, but right over your shoulder in your picture was Coach Chad Tefford standing, so you can see his head right there.
Yeah.
So that's what these things are about, right? They're all right there. I mean, just somebody's literally probably over your shoulder. So they're a lot of fun. We're going to catch up with 3 or 4 different head coaches today. Kim's going to go be important and see all the people she needs to see, and we're going to bring it back to you, our audience, because, guys, it's time for football. It's time for more Squib Kicks. We'll be right back with you.
Good morning, Commissioner. How are you doing today?
Living the dream, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Oh, we're so excited to be here representing the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl here at the Mountain West Media Days. We're such big fans of the Mountain West, as you know. And is it are you just about 1.5 years into this job now, Gloria?
Almost exactly 1.5 years. And you know, as well as anyone, the affinity Mountain West has with the Arizona Bowl. We were there from the beginning. Our Deputy Commissioner, Bret Gilliland, was one of the founding folks working on this thing.
100%. I remember back in those days, it was amazing. We love the Mountain West. We love that connection. The Mountain West is part of the fabric of the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl and will always be part of the fabric. And tell us about the last year, the highlights of the last 1.5 years for you, maybe even lowlights if you want to get there, but for sure the highlights. Tell us about the last highlights for the last year.
Let's not talk about the highlight. No. We honestly, it's been such a refreshing thing to be here for Media Day because we just happen to be in a point in time where I think we've had a little bit of settling in the college athletic environment, and all of our Mountain West schools are really aligned right now and rowing in the same direction because we are well positioned as the only FBS league in the Western region, the side of the Rockies, and with the expanded football playoff and the equity of access, it's going to be the top 5 champion leagues going to that playoff semi at large, and we just feel really well positioned.
I heard you say that yesterday in some of your comments to the media. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think the strength of the schedule that we're seeing come out of the Mountain West this season for sure, I mean, is going to match up against the best of the best. Is that part of the reason why you think that the Mountain West is positioned well to be one of the top 5 conferences?
Absolutely. Our coaches have swung for the fences. In addition to the Washington State, Oregon State scheduling agreement we have for this coming year, they've actually infused a great strength of schedule, but our coaches are signaling as well that they expect to have some strong squads because we've got some titanic matchups on the roster.
For sure. And I understand, and just for our listeners, I understand that although the Oregon State and Washington State are playing within the Mountain West in the scheduling, they're not going to be qualified for the Mountain West Bowls. Is that still the case, Commissioner?
Correct. Think of it as just a group deal for non-conference games. Even though you'll see those games deep into conference season in the calendar, they consider them like non-conference games.
And they'll just stick with the old Pac-12 bowl affiliations as they qualify for bowl games. Is that how you understand?
As I understand it, although I don't know what the latest is, but I think my understanding was the Pac-12 teams that were eligible for those previously under the Pac-12 banner will still be so, but I'm not sure if that's final.
So tell us about that day when I gave you a call and said, Commissioner, we've got this opportunity. It is innovative, something that's never been done before. We've got Snoop Dogg and we've got Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. Tell me what you were thinking that day when I called you to have that conversation.
It was innovation is the word, because I was like, oh, that is cool because of everything Snoop Dogg is doing with his brand. You've seen it around the Olympics. He's actually an official ambassador or something like that for the Olympics. His involvement in sport, his passion for the Western region. And I just thought, oh, what a cool fit.
Yeah, we're very excited. His passions totally line up with our passions at the bowl. And then I called you and I said, well, we've got this Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. And an alcohol brand has never been a presenting sponsor of a bowl game. You know, when we made this announcement 2 months ago, it seemed like breaking news, like totally new stuff. In the last 2 months, it feels like old news because it feels like everybody's going to have some type of alcohol brand sponsoring their team. What made you open to that idea?
Well, honestly, it's the combination. I think the reason Arizona Bowl and Mountain West align so much is you guys were first in the streaming broadcast space. You've been first in a lot of things. We pride ourselves on being open to being first, trying new things. Maybe it's a lower risk or higher risk tolerance. Yeah. But just it seems to make sense. And as long as you're doing that in a framework that you're staying true to your mission and values, I think, that's what's so fun about this space.
I agree. And you mentioned a minute ago about Snoop being an ambassador for the Olympics. He's going to be commentating, I think, during the track and field competitions. You yourself are going over to the Olympics. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came to be?
I am fortunate enough and honored to serve as a member of the board on USA Basketball. And so it's bonkers. I know. I'm still pinching myself.
Are you just high-fiving Steph Curry all the time? Or
oh, yeah, we're best friends. No, not at all. But I was in the same room with him a couple nights ago for the 50th anniversary gala. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I waved. I don't think he saw me.
Will you be at all the basketball games in Paris then?
Oh, my gosh.
And then you'll be there when we win the gold. Cross fingers.
Yeah, speaking it into existence. In fact, the special guest appearance at the gala for USA Basketball, Barack Obama came out and talked about how important it was to represent the country and how sport is a unifying factor. And then he paused, turned around, and said, "Y'all better win." It was a great moment.
Oh my gosh.
It was a great moment.
Oh my gosh. How incredible. How incredible. Well, I know you're so busy here at Media Days. Thank you so much for carving out some time to talk with us. We really appreciate it. We love the partnership. Hopefully we'll see you back in Tucson again this year for the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. This is one you do not want to miss. And we'll have some more fun in Tucson.
Yeah, Kim, thank you for all your hard work, innovation, and being here today. This is wonderful.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks, Commissioner. Hello, Mr. Bret Gilliland, Deputy Commissioner of the Mountain West Conference. How are you, sir?
Great. Now I'm on here with you.
Hey, would you like to share a gin and juice with me? Do you have one there?
I think I would.
Okay, let's open it up. You've got passion fruit. I've got citrus. I think you're going to like that one. That's Snoop's favorite.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. That's my first one ever.
Welcome to the club.
Welcome to the club. That's right. Good stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome. So speaking of welcome to the club, you and I have known each other for almost 10 years now. Can you believe that?
Wow.
10 years.
10 years. That's great.
Can you tell our audience how the Mountain West became one of the founders of the Arizona Bowl and how all that went down 10 years ago?
It's a fun story. I was in Phoenix for a youth soccer tournament. Our son Brock was playing in the tournament, and our friend Alan Young came by to say, "Hey, how you doing? Watch Brock play a little bit." And we're chatting, and at the time, he was with the Arizona Sports Entertainment Commission, and I think had spoken with the folks in Tucson about trying to get a bowl game. And I said, "Well, we'd be interested because the Mountain West is underserved in that space. Our number of primary bowl games was usually a little bit less than the number of bowl eligible teams that we had. So we said we'd be interested in trying to make something happen." That's like in February 2015, I think it was. And we started the ball rolling. The folks in Tucson were great. Got all the support of the community and the leaders there. And I was able to help bring to the table, here are the pieces of the puzzle. Where's our competition venue? Where are our practice venues? Where are the hotels going to be? And we went around and identified all of those things. And really remarkable, that December, we played.
I know we did.
Yeah.
We announced in October, 90 days before the game that we had a game.
Yep.
And I was working as the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Business Development for Nova Home Loans, who was the first sponsor of the bowl game. And that's how you and I met as title sponsor and conference partner. And that's where it all started.
Yeah.
And that first year, do you remember the anomaly of that first year?
That's where I was going to go next. Was every November it's this chessboard of what teams are bowl eligible, what are the conference contracts, which teams are going where, and we had an odd scenario where we had an additional team couldn't get them placed somewhere else. Long story short, we're sitting there with the Arizona Bowl, and we don't have an opponent.
But you have an extra team.
But we had an extra bowl eligible team in the Mountain West, so we said, and they didn't play each other during the regular season, which was probably fortunate. And we said, well, then we're going to put Nevada and Colorado State into the Arizona Bowl because we need to have a game. We need to get this thing launched. We got it done, and it was successful.
We did. We got it done in 90 days, which was incredible.
Yeah.
We had a great matchup. It was a lot of fun. And I think we really figured out, like after that first game, how we could continue to build on that momentum and make it even better and share not only the warmth of our climate during that time of year, but the warmth of our hospitality and our amazing community. And I think the Mountain West kind of picked that up pretty quickly, wouldn't you say? I mean, do you think when the teams, you had two teams the first year come and two teams experience what we offered in Tucson, what was that feedback like?
Yeah, very quickly, the Arizona Bowl became one of the favorites in the league because of warm weather, the climate, the way that our teams get embraced, the experience. They stay in tremendous properties, playing in a great stadium, get great practice facilities. Their entertainment experiences, old Tucson. Very quickly, it rose to the top of the places where in subsequent seasons, we're starting to have conversations about who's bowl eligible, who should go where. We're hearing from coaches and ADs and folks saying, "Yeah, we want to go there. We want to go to Tucson."
That's what we like to hear. We always like it when they want to come to Tucson.
Yeah.
And then, so the next bowl cycle that we came back together, we brought in the MAC that time to partner with the Mountain West, and our ability to pick teams went to a higher echelon, so we were able to pick better teams with better records to play in our game. And it's been a roller coaster. It's been fun. We survived COVID.
Yeah, I was going to talk about, to your point, that first year we were just adding a bowl to the ecosystem, and we already had contracts, so the Arizona Bowl had to just be an add-on at the end, and hopefully we would have a team, and we did. But yeah, as we went to the next cycle, did a new set of agreements, in large part because of the very strong relationship that we have between the community and the bowl and the conference. But then the feedback that we just talked about, we moved it up so that Arizona Bowl would pick higher in the pecking order, certainly be assured of a team, and hopefully get an even better record team in there. I've lost my train of thought on where I was going with that. What were we talking about?
Well, I dropped in COVID, and how
I was going to talk about the resiliency of the bowl through all of these challenges with COVID and sponsorship changes and all those things, and it's now as strong as it's ever been.
For sure. And I don't know that we could have evolved to where we are now as the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice without the incredible support that we've had from the Mountain West and the MAC to be open to new ideas, new paradigms within the bowl space. Yeah. And I was telling someone earlier, it was so funny that, we announced Gin and Juice as our presenting sponsor 2 months ago, and that was very novel, a brand new thing that had never happened before. And now it's like old news, because those types of announcements are going to start to come out, I think, a lot more rapidly here as the space is expanding for maybe some new categories that were enabled in the past, but are now being looked at for opportunities for revenue for the conferences and the teams. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I really do think this partnership that the Arizona Bowl has forged is a metaphor for all of college athletics. It's evolving from the old model that we're all accustomed to, and there is some discomfort with that, but I think, as with anything, you have to evolve and adjust and adapt, and you guys have done a great job I've tried to be supportive of that with our board, and explaining to them that this is the new space, the new era, and as we go to this next chapter, everybody's looking for creative ways to find revenue.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Some of the things that maybe were off the table are one maybe more socially acceptable, culturally acceptable, because morals change, mores change, but they're necessary from a business perspective.
For sure. And the conferences are always in a interesting spot with that, because they have to balance the fact that they are representing and working with student athletes, and what's best for the student athletes as they go through their collegiate career and their academic career, and but also with how times are changing and what's more and more acceptable. And so I think you guys have done a really good job of keeping both of those things in balance, and but also keeping like all the options open and being open to new and innovative ideas.
Yeah, and it really is a balancing act, because we do serve our membership. We may think something in the conference office is a great idea. We're on board with it. We're comfortable, but it is their conference, it's their institution, it's their athletic program. So we have to cultivate their understanding. And I think part of it is developing a level of trust that, they trust us, that, we're in the right place, thinking about the right things, and sharing the information with them. I joked a little bit with Eric when this opportunity with Snoop and Gin and Juice came up. I did a slide deck to lay it all out and explain, here are the NCAA rules that apply. Here are the considerations in terms of exposure. Here's, Snoop is very mainstream now, is doing the Olympics, all of the different pieces and parts. And that was pretty successful. There wasn't a lot of, angst about, this sponsorship going forward, which 5 years ago, I'm not sure we would have been able to do that.
No, I think I tried 5 years ago and it was a hard no. And then about like 5 months ago, when I said, hey, what about gin and juice? Or I said, what about a beer or seltzer presenting sponsor? And you said, I don't think we could do it, but bring me examples. And I heard, yes.
That's what you've been good about. Like, yeah, okay. You didn't say no.
I heard a real big maybe in there that
Yep.
I think if I brought the right opportunity, we might be able to get that to the finish line. And thankfully we did, because I really feel like this partnership is terrific for us as a bowl game, for our community for sure, and also for the conference as well. I think the student athletes are going to have so much fun coming to our game and getting a chance to meet Snoop and be a part of the festivities and all the things that he's bringing into the game. I think they're going to enjoy that. Are you getting that kind of feedback?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of excitement about it. It continues to gain momentum, and part of it is you have described how much they're leaning in. Snoop's leaning in, and all the different things that are going to happen around the game. But back to the decision making process, I think that's why we have worked so well together over the years, in terms of, you heard yes and you'll push the envelope. I'm trying to set expectations and say, I'm not so sure, but I'm not going to dismiss it. Let's talk about it. And you're respectful of the considerations on this side. Yeah. And I think we're respectful and wanting to help the bowl succeed. So if there's a way to work our way to a yes, we try to get there. And we've done that successfully now for a decade.
Totally. Right behind you, I don't know if our viewers can see it, but there's a statement that says football is family.
Yeah.
And that's our kind of motto within the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, presented by Gin and Juice, by Dre and Snoop. But I also think that that's generally in this, I don't know if that's a general assumption, but I know with you and me, football is family. I think our families have become close. We have so much fun at the games. I know your kids, my kids, I know Leah, Craig, and it's been such that's one of my favorite things about my role, is developing these strong friendships / business relationships that can work together. You and I have tough conversations all the time, but we know at the end of it, we're still going to have a gin and juice on New Year's Eve and dance a little bit with our families. And That's one of my favorite things too, is the growing relationship, not just with you, but the whole Mountain West and our team. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that those kinds of deep relationships help you succeed because they let you navigate difficult issues.
For sure.
There's that trust, there's that baseline there that, yeah, we may disagree, we may have to have a tough conversation, something may go sideways. And I was just talking to somebody else. The selection process this last season was tough.
Tell me about it.
And I was talking with Commissioner Nevarez and another bowl person about, man, that was really difficult this year. It's always kind of tough because it's, a lot of chess pieces moving around. It's a Rubik's Cube. But last year was particularly difficult. And it was tough, but we got through it successfully because at the end of the day, there's a great deal of affection for this relationship and for each other and for both organizations that allows you to navigate that tough stuff.
Well, I agree. And like one of my mottos, and I think I should tattoo it on my arm at some point, which is a rising tide lifts all boats, and we can all be successful. It's not one or the other. You're taking my team and giving it to someone else, or it's like, how do we come together and find the best possible solution for everybody? And I think that we've been able to do that for a long time. ESPN and I talk every year about our selection process. We've never had, a disagreement. We both are on the same page, knock on wood, when it comes to selection time about who we want to pick and how we're going to work together to make that happen. And it's just been a really great showcase of how people with competing interests can still come together and work together and come to the best solution for everybody.
Like almost everything in life, it's about people. And it's funny, you mentioned ESPN. I was just going to talk about Glenn Overby, who's our partner there. Same thing, same kind of relationship. And that allows all of us to work together successfully to try to find solutions. And they're not always perfect because we know there are other people in the business that you work with who will not cooperate.
Right.
They simply won't. But we're fortunate that we have that kind of dynamic. And I'm thinking about this last year's game. Couldn't have been more perfect for Wyoming, who's been a participant in the bowl a couple of times, has had a great experience. Their fans have embraced it. They love it. They come. But for that to be Craig Bowles' final game and for them to win, close game at the end, it was like it was scripted.
For sure. And I have to tell you that, nowadays you often hear about coaches or players that are opting out or leaving early or, leaving for other programs before their bowl games. Coach Bowl could have decided to retire before the game, which would have put us in a really challenging position. And how many of those kids would have gone right into the transfer portal if there was any doubt about replacements? But he kept that continuity. He came to South Laramie, which is what we call Tucson, Arizona, for the game. Right. We called it Coach Bowles Bowl. It was awesome. We could not have scripted a better ending to that game. We had the Orange Bowl that also wasn't really a great game. And so a lot of people tuned in to watch Coach Bowles' last game. It was an awesome script if we had scripted it. And that was exciting. We were surprised that we were taking Wyoming again. Not unhappy about it. We love take Wyoming every year.
We were trying to move all the pieces around and the way things fell. And we had another game that didn't fill that we were a backup in. So that changed our lineup. But it turned out pretty good.
I'm not complaining. It was great. We love Wyoming. We have so many great teams in this conference that we're excited really to bring whoever we get to Southern Arizona so that they can experience what we offer. And that's a testament to the great competition that you have going on in this conference. And I know Commissioner Nevarez talked about, this being one of the top 5 conferences in the league. And that's, certainly in looking that way right now, you guys are carving out that for yourselves without much competition, below you. And it's a testament to the type of scheduling you're doing, the type of competition you're putting out there, the teams you're attracting. Tell me a little bit about that and how you guys are feeling going into this season.
Yeah, it's been very intentional, and there's a lot going on in college athletics right now. There's a new CFP contract, the whole litigation, house settlement, where all of that's going. Since Commissioner Nevarez has come on board, over the last 18 months. We've been doing a lot of things that position ourselves to be able to adapt into this new environment. We completed a strategic plan most of last year, very robust, 10,000 different touch points across the surveys, 14 focus groups, one-on-one meetings with presidents. We've got a document that now that we feel is really captures what we want to do, where we want to go. We've already built out it's about a 27 pages of Excel spreadsheet with the deliverables on that. There's something like 83 deliverables, 20 of them are already done. We've been doing benchmarking, talking about minimum standards. We've done threat casting, project scenarios so that we don't have strategic surprise. And we actually have a guy that we work with who's a threat caster.
Wow.
That's what he does. He's a futurist. Ryan David Johnson, affectionately known as BDJ. He's actually a professor at Arizona State, but has worked, with the Department of Defense.
We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you for the Arizona State reference. It wasn't unintentional.
Unintentional, just factual stories from.
Yes.
But all of these things have given us the tools to sort of position ourselves. But central in that strategic plan has been we have an intentional objective to, on an annual basis, be the 5th automatic qualifying conference in the playoff and have multiple teams in play for at-large bids and multiple bowl participating teams. As much excellence as we can possibly get in the football space. And to that end, you have to build your programs. And that's what we do as a conference. Our job is to create the platform and the resources and the ecosystem. That's what this media day is about for these 2 days. That's what you're doing at the Arizona Bowl, is providing a platform for our teams. Now, we can't coach for them. We can't play. We can't recruit. But we want to put the infrastructure in and support system that they can succeed. And to that end, I don't know if Gloria talked about the specifics of the scheduling. We have 35 A4 games this year.
Wow.
The next, not to disparage our friends at the other leagues, the next closest one, I won't name them that way. The next closest one has 23.
Wow.
We have 35. 15 of them are at home.
Wow.
And some of those, again, our other leagues, the next closest one that has 23, they have 1 at home.
Oh, my gosh.
22 on the road. Now, obviously, and we think this is, we're going to take credit for strategically scheduling Washington State and Oregon State into our lineup as non-conference games. And that bumps that number up. But even if you take those games out, we're still at 23, which is very equal to the next one and very comparable to the A4. And about half of those are at home. So we're scheduling top competition and we're getting those games at home. We look like top conferences. Now, you got to go out and play. You got to go out and perform, but we're positioning ourselves to do that. And we're making sure that those narratives are getting out there over this next couple of days and leading up to the season, so that we can create that platform. Because often where you finish is impacted by where you start, so we can get some preseason poll love and go out and win some of those games, get that momentum going, just as we did in men's basketball this year.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up with 6 teams.
I was gonna note on that, because we're talking about the strategic plan, and it's beyond just football. I mean, the conference is really performing at a high level in a lot of the sports that you're offering to your student athletes, whether that's women's basketball, men's basketball, volleyball, soccer, golf, tennis. We're seeing a lot of that, a lot of the terrific performance coming out of the Mountain West. I think you guys should be really proud of yourselves about how you're developing and have for a long time a consistency of excellence within the conference.
Yeah, and that's a stated goal in the strategic plan. And that's the thing as we go through this evolution of what college athletics is going to look like. How do we retain that student athlete experience, that student athlete opportunity to get an education, to develop as a person, as many of us did? That, college experience is transformative. and not have it be entirely a transactional business relationship. How do we retain that? And so that's going to be one of the challenges that we'll have to figure out, how to all these other sports, how to keep them viable, keep this model successful.
Well, I've got one more question for you, and it's a bit of a doozy, but I trust you have the answer.
Hey, let me have the gin and juice to get ready for that.
Over the 10 years that I've been a part of the bowl and in the bowl system, you consistently hear people, pundits, people in and out of athletics talk about how bowls are unnecessary. The number of bowls are unnecessary. And now even as we go into, the playoff with 12 teams, and you hear people talking about how inconsequential the other bowl games are outside of the playoff system. How do you respond to those types of folks? I'm sure you hear it all the time as well. How do you respond to those types of folks? And why do you think that bowls like us will be around for a long time?
I'll use a term that my young adult children use. That's cap, which means not true, that bowls are irrelevant. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I'm on this kind of on the same topic. These are tremendous experiences for student athletes. Oftentimes going to places they've never been, experiencing things they've never seen, camaraderie with their teammates on a bowl trip. It's a great student athlete experience, first and foremost. But these are also important to communities. Communities still are supporting. There, as we know, there are communities trying to add bowl games. Mm-hmm. So there's obviously cultural and economic benefit to communities for these games. There's still a desire for them. Media partners are making money off of these games. It's great programming. The viewership they get on these bowl games, particularly in the time of the year, which sometimes can be slow, is significantly more than other content that it could be putting on. So you can try to criticize them and say they're not poor, but if they're still working for all the constituents who are involved, then they have value.
I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
The ecosystem's going to shift, and we're going to have to, be creative, change some things. We're dealing with some stuff this year with all the conference realignment. Those bowls that had those teams out of those conferences, how do we manage those legacy teams going to those for these next couple of years of the existing agreements, and then we'll try to figure out how to restructure. But to say that they're irrelevant, we shouldn't have them on, that's silly, because people are watching them. People still want to go to them. Communities still want to have them. And sponsors are still involved.
For sure. Don't you think that, I know that the sports book and sports betting world isn't necessarily one that college athletics wants to, play in necessarily or really talk about, but don't you also think that the relevance of and the growth of sports betting has also made these games even more and more relevant? People are watching them more now than ever because they've got a bet on them. Whether that's something we want to promote or not, it's the truth. And it's creating another reason why the bowl games are important and should be around.
Yeah, no, entirely true. Entirely true. And in fact, just before I came over here, our partners at IC360 used to be US Integrity. They're our sports wagering partner that help us monitor, educate, make it a safe space. So we're moving closer and closer, embracing that more and more. I think because, like we've talked throughout this conversation, you have to evolve and adapt. Sports wagering is here. It's not going anywhere. So let's figure out how we best manage it, how we best leverage it to our benefit from an exposure perspective or whatever. We're doing it right now in Media Day here at Circa, down in the sports book. That's where our Mountain West Network set is. Right. And we're interviewing our coaches and student athletes with the sports book in the background and Mountain West content up on that valuable real estate of that screen. That's the future. Now we want to do it right. We want to do it carefully. But I think you're right. That's another space that will further validate bowl games, because the level of interest, and if people are wagering on those, particularly during that late December period where people maybe are with friends and family and hanging out, and let's place a bet on this. I think that's going to be part of the ecosystem. I think you're right.
Quick funny story. Ryan Draper, your IC360, is that the name of the company?
Yeah.
Ryan was our intern.
Yeah, I saw him. He said, I was just over there and I got to sample some gin and juice.
He's of age. He was a long time in Android, 25 now. Yeah. But isn't it a small world that in this, certainly in college football, it always seems like you're running into people that you've known in different ways in different areas. And it's awesome to see. It was great to see him here. I know his parents really well, so it was fun to see him here. It was great.
Good stuff. It is fun. Small world.
Well, Bret, I can't thank you enough for spending some valuable time with us here. I know you have a lot of other things you need to do during this very busy time here at Media Days, but hopefully I will see you at the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop on December 28th. And then we'll have some fun on New Year's Eve if you stick around.
That's our annual plan. So
Terrific.
Barring any unforeseen circumstances, everybody in our office understands I get first choice of the Arizona Bowl.
Awesome. Well, cheers, my friend.
Thank you.